good afternoon to all our SAIAshare attendees. On behalf of SAIA Practice, a very warm welcome to all. This is the first time, if this is the first time you are attending, then a special word of welcome to you. My name is Eugene Barnard. We do hope you will enjoy this afternoon's program with us. It is, however, with great sadness that we start this SAIAshare event with the news that Emil Paulsen passed away last Friday evening. Emil was an architect, lecturer, practice committee member, manager of SAIA Practice and Education. He was a SAIAshare presenter not too many months ago, and on numerous occasions a co-host of this event. The SAIA Practice Compendium and Professional Practice Guideline documentation are to a large extent his legacy to the profession. Our heartfelt condolences go out to his bereaving family and friends. Right, back to this afternoon. Corina Gibson from ECPD make sure that the event runs smoothly. Welcome, Corina. Thanks to our sponsors, Plascon, and in particular Carol, who I suspect is attending the event. Thanks to Plascon for their kind sponsorship, which makes it possible for us to present this event free of charge. Please participate by posting questions or comments in the questions box during each of the two presentations. We will try and cover all the questions during the Q&A session. In session 2 this afternoon, Nadine Engelbrecht from Pretoria will be speaking on architecture without fear, using courage as a tool in design and construction. But first, for session 1, welcome to Henning Rasmus. Henning Rasmus was born and raised in Johannesburg and studied at Wits University. He has a formidable CV, etched out, amongst others, through his involvement in Paragon Architects, where he was responsible for all the group's international projects and for business development in Africa. Henning founded Datascape Architects Africa in October 2021, a specialist practice focusing on data centers and building Africa's technology backbone, as well as Crux Architects Africa in May 2022, a generalist business that focuses on master planning and design and build contracts. Henning's topic this afternoon is all we are asked to do is practice architecture. Henning, once again, welcome and thank you so much for being available to speak on SAIAshare. We look forward with anticipation.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Eugene, for the introduction. Thanks to the organizers and the pre-chats. I'm glad that myself and Nadine are both speaking about fear in some way. I'll get to that for a moment, but really the intention of this afternoon is to speak as a colleague to what is quite a large audience. Those who know me, which is obviously not nearly everybody in this webinar, will know that I have strong opinions on just about everything. So when I was invited by Eugene to contribute to this series, I decided to just put down some, let me say, opinions or insights, and maybe also give a bit of a feedback on conversations that I hear out there. To be clear, I'm sitting here as a 55-year-old white male in the South African context, which is a particular condition to be in, having started new businesses dedicated to Africa. My background and my passion is for the things that Africa has, not the things that it doesn't have. And I'm going to dwell a little bit on maybe a thing that connects us in not such a good way. I think sometimes there's a bit of a victim attitude in the profession. There's quite a bit of viciousness, and I think often we don't function properly as colleagues. So these forums, whether what is said is contentious or not, are probably one of the best ways for us to speak across the board and from different viewpoints. And I think in this time in South Africa and the world, that's quite important. I'm not going to dwell on the work of my practices. As Eugene mentioned, I work in different settings and different scenarios. We're busy with 4 data center projects in South Africa, reasonably small ones. We're in construction with Kinshasa's first big data center in the DRC, and also a large project in 2 phases in Accra. On the architecture side, we work mainly in Dar es Salaam and Lusaka at the moment with a strong East Africa-based contracting company. But today is not about pictures of projects. I've got some, let me call them cue cards, and I really want to start this out. So the topic I gave this talk is all we are asked to do is practice. I think I'm very much into words and semantics. Words are a big key to the world for me, and I love this idea that we're practicing. So this afternoon is about encouragement, maybe primarily to colleagues who are a bit younger. And I think the amazing thing about professional practices, whether we're doctors or lawyers, is this thing. It comes from long ago. It probably comes from somewhere in Britain in the 1800s. I don't know, but professionals practice. You would want your brain surgeon to be really good at what they do and not be practicing, but your architect can practice. And maybe the encouraging thing is really all that we are asked to do is to continually work at this thing that we learned, work at our insight, work at our Revit, work at our contractual knowledge, work at detailing. But really all that we are asked to do and what society expects of us and what we should hold ourselves to is that we continually improve that thing, that technical thing, that professional thing, that legal thing, that building thing, that relationship thing, but also I think work on ourselves. Having been in many work-based relationships over the years, I think one of the biggest failings is that I've experienced is the inability to keep certain relationships together. And so working on oneself is one of the most important things to continue being relevant as an architect to oneself and to the people around oneself. Don't forget it, don't underestimate it. And in an encouraging and inspiring talk, as Eugene asked me to do, remember to take care of yourself. It's an important thing that we forget. I want to talk about fear. Practicing architecture is scary. When we begin, it looks insurmountable. We go into this profession with a huge amount of expectations and entitlements. I'll dwell on that a little bit later. But really, one of the key things and why at architecture school, teaching professional practice or learning professional practice, that sort of JBCC contractual lecture that one has to go through, I believe is close to pointless, because I think one only understands professional practice and the risks when one is properly afraid, when you don't know how to fill your fridge, when you don't know how to find clients, when you don't know how to reverse you and your client out of a contractual situation. And so fear, we can all freeze. We can be afraid of the world around us, but we can retreat into fear, or we can take fear as a driver. For me personally, whenever I stop being afraid, I get really worried. Living and practicing on that edge of fear and pushing the boundaries where you don't quite know what you're doing, I think is an important condition. And as speaking to a large range of colleagues, I would encourage everybody to spend a bit of time embracing their fear instead of being afraid and being in that condition. Fear is a great driver for sharp thinking, for strategic thinking, and for making decisions that are valuable and probably by gut level the best. So I wanted to share that. This professional thing imposes a huge obligation on us to be correct and know more, which is kind of great because we do invest a lot in our education and we are held by our institutions and by things like SAICAP to high standards of whatever kind. But at the same time, this thing of professionalism sets us apart from ordinary people. I find this word quite worrying because it separates us from ordinary people and normal thinking, and architects have an incredible way of complicating the world, including through words. The kind of narrative of our practice, the words we use when we talk to each other. It's a terrible world, and it comes with this thing of being a professional, and I'm quite interested in this at this stage of my life, in letting go of a bit of that and just being a person who knows something about a thing that people need, rather than applying this label to myself. So that's where I am at this stage of my career, and in that context, I've formed new practices that have a different culture in which we try and talk, especially to clients and consultants and people in our ecosystem, as equals, and in a way that is respectful and complete and simple. Working in Africa, I think I'm often in rooms with people with fundamentally different skill sets. I'm not saying better or worse skill sets, but certainly the journeys are often long to bridge divides in culture and language and region and politics and post-colonial culture and pre-colonial culture. And so this professional label isn't very helpful. Practicing is very helpful, and getting better at things is, of course, important. So this thing about running a practice and practicing, I just wanted to put this up. As I said, I'm very much into semantics, but we practice, which is the bottom word. We run a practice, we form practices, but I just wanted to share this word and put it into the room as an encouraging word that again levels the playing fields between us and others around us. This is a collaborative word. It's a collaborative label, and it means that you go into the day with less assumptions about who you are and what you know. And I believe you can more fully deploy yourself when you assume that you are not perfect and that you're still learning. Obviously, in a long professional life, one acquires a certain skill set that is best sold to people. We do work in a capitalist system, but for the rest, I think even our clients should feel that we don't know everything, so that they trust us, that we're learning with them. Enough of that. Going back to fear, I am of the personal opinion that we in this country are going through a dark time. It's not like we haven't had dark times before. And then again, the world is not exactly a nice place at the moment. The world is becoming better, but not nicer. We have access to more technology. We have access to more knowledge. We have access to more information, not necessarily knowledge. And I think part of our journey in this country is we collectively and individually, as practices, as individuals, can spend a whole lot of time talking about what isn't around us, what we haven't got, what is not there to support us, what our institute isn't doing for us, what SAICAP hasn't set up, what transformation policies haven't delivered, what government is incapable of, what ESCOM doesn't switch on. But actually, that is all fine, but our journey, I think, as educated individuals who have insight and a bit of discretion, is to find the centers of excellence, activate them, and work with them. What centers of excellence mean in your personal, professional life is quite different for different people. It depends on where you chose to deploy yourself. But our journey, I think, especially at the moment in a country and on a continent with very, very thin resources and increasing contestation, is to identify where the fantastic people are who are also on a learning journey and join them in whatever way as an architect and make the best out of fantastic knowledge centers, fantastic initiatives that are there and where we can deploy ourselves, rather than to hang out the victim and talk about the things that prevent you from being who you wanted to be, who you thought you were going to be. So again, just speaking as a word of encouragement, as somebody with 28 years of practice behind me and probably quite a few more to go, I think this is a way of thinking about the world, and certainly a way that I've set up my new practices, is to work in that way and to share knowledge generously. This little talking card, I do properly believe that we have more ability to shape the bed that we sleep in than we think. I think the profession is at a low point of perception about itself, and we believe that others must deliver what we need to do, what we wanted to do. It's a bit of a repeat of what I said 2 minutes ago. I believe if we jointly and individually got out of bed to believe and act in such a way that to ourselves we believe that we can shape the conditions in which we practice, we would be a lot happier, for one, and we would probably be better off, and we would be delivering more value. Listening to and there's just some feedback to earlier in the year and over the last half year, these amazing transformation talks. And again, talking as a 55-year-old white male, listening to the agitation, which is great, the energy for change, which is great, but also the incredible hurt and feeling of frustration amongst young practitioners, some of whom are Black, some of whom are female, some of whom are whatever kind of South Africans and Africans. I'm quite saddened at how much culture of demand and expectation there is about how other people need to level your playing field and deliver to you this ultimate setting in which you can deploy yourself. It's not bad. The anger is good. The ambition is good. The push through of new thinking is good. The activism angle is good. It's fantastic, but we're all going to wait for a long time for others to create the environment which we say we're entitled to. And so I don't think that is the healthy part of it. And I wanted to share that. It's just an insight. It's my personal insight. And I find it restraining. And I wanted to share my reflection on what are active and important and vigorous debates that have been triggered in our institutes. And they're good and they're positive, but they need to be, I think we need a bit more individual accountability to ourselves and our place in what we want. The world is this: hot, crowded, and flat. The flat is the flat earthers. We are surrounded by a bigger and bigger number of partisan morons. I'll just say that, whether that's the American presidency, the question is where the adults are in the room. And there's an incredible number of people who are driving the direction that the world is going in that are, quite frankly, flat earthers. We are back in the Cold War thinking, and the world is in a terrible time. Going back to what do we do about that? Find the centers of excellence, work in a rounded way, realize that the world is crowded. Crowded relates to the pressure of people, the pressure to substantiate our value, the pressure to find ways that we're going to fill our fridge, when in this country, certainly we have perfected so-called risk work and we give our IP away in the pursuit of the so-called grunt work, which will be eroded by AI. I believe that this industry and the architectural industry globally is going to become crowded. A lot of architects who can no longer find ways of validating why they should be paid for anything. And again, I think this takes group thinking. I think this is where institutes come in. I think these are debates, is who is going to pay us 10 years from now for what we thought we were going to do. We need to work together to sort that out. I'm not saying I have the answers, but I think the industry is going to become crowded with architects who are out of work through changes in technology. Hot is obviously the climate crisis in the world. It is not worth debating, and we are in the middle of that, and fingers are getting pointed at us collectively. We need to be sharp. We need to together encourage ourselves to drop some of the expectations that come from our education and from the kind of value that we were told we have as so-called professionals who operate somewhere above normal people. When I say acculturation, I think inside of our cultures are biases, which are good and valid, but bias is also a negative word. We need to be careful about what we carry with us. I believe that as a South African architect, having worked for many years on this continent, I have concluded that we in South Africa are actually often an anti-model. I mean, South Africa is really a bad place to take learnings from in terms of how we build our cities and how we organize ourselves as a society. So that is what I mean by acculturation. I think we need to disassemble what South Africa is and bring a different value to the continent. And then we have a huge entitlement. And if we want to be entitled, we need to be richer in how the way we engage and entitle others to our knowledge. The new businesses that are formed are firmly based on principles of knowledge sharing and believing that the people around us are entitled to kind of everything we know and not to hedge knowledge. I think there's many professionals who hedge knowledge in order to squeeze value and who mystify the design process and do not communicate in the way that clients and others in their ecosystem are entitled to. And so if I started 2 new businesses at this age of my life, I am trying to undo entitlement of knowledge or enrich others in being more entitled to the knowledge we have as a team. Discretion is something we need to all pursue. Discretion is the ability to tell good and bad from each other, to prioritize knowledge and to turn information into knowledge, making data useful. And this is a long journey, and we need to be strong people with strong personal principles. This is a life journey, and I would encourage every colleague to work on this actively and, not forget that the personal value-based approach to work is going to become more important as AI, for example, erodes some of our other decision-making. I believe in the application of personal values and principle lies part of the value that we can deliver to the world and to our communities in the future. And with that, I've got 30 seconds left. Eugene and Karina are going to start throwing tomatoes at me, virtual ones. I wanted to encourage you to stop being afraid. I like being on the edge of feeling fear and looking it in the eye, but I think I would like to encourage everybody in this webinar to drop that thing and engage with the world fully. And with that, I'm going to stop speaking and hand over to Nadine. Thank you very much.
There we are, Henning. Thank you very much. Before we get to Nadine, though, we have the privilege of addressing some comments and questions that come through. You started off by speaking of fear, and I remember attending annually the mid-career training courses that the Institute offered in the 1980s and 90s. And after each of those weekends, I was fear-struck. I was scared to death just hearing what can go wrong. But you're quite right. That's a positive fear. And I was wondering, just to get the ball rolling, your advice to young practitioners who are starting out on their journey, their life journey in the profession, how would you, encourage them in practical terms to approach the whole issue of the balance between exposing yourself and walking a safe road?
I think the whole point of life is to be brave. The whole point of life is to be out of your comfort zone. In order to be out of your comfort zone, you shouldn't feel alone. And I think every professional, if we're going to call it that, every one of my colleagues in this call, wherever they are, should search for and find a mentor. I've personally had 3 or so mentors in my life. They might be formal or informal relationships. There might be people I consider as mentors. I may never have told them, but I have 3 individuals who have taught me profound things. And I would say, because it's so scary, get yourself at least one mentor who's at your same age, who faces the same struggles. If you're lucky enough to be in a sizable office, look for somebody who, in your view, shoots the lights out. When I say sizable office, can be a 3-person or 30-person or 130-person office. Find somebody whose career you aspire to, ideally somebody you could speak to, or a model. I mean, go and look at a star architect or some other not well-known but profound architect and set yourself an ambitional model so that you can follow somebody's path, even if that's not linear. And then find yourself an older person who has a few t-shirts that you can call when you're shitting yourself.
Okay.
Thanks,
Henning. That's very practical. Okay, John Morley. John, thanks for your comments. Practice is about learning to be practical in a changing environment. John also says the world is an exciting place right now. And John says young people can be fearless. So thank you, John, for those comments. Sean Scriven, much appreciated, Henning. Cannot agree with you more. Appreciated presentation. Thank you, Sean, for that encouragement. Okay, then we have comments or a question from Francois Norkier. Thanks, Henning. How have you found that practicing architecture affects your body, affects your body and mind, or bodily health? Affects your bodily and mind health from the perspective that architects seem to be the professionals with a target on their backs in the industry?
I think I'm not sure I share the thing about architects being the ones with the target. I think certainly speaking from a South African perspective, I think we have a vicious culture coming from parts of the older project management professions who they deal the viciousness out to everybody in a team. And again, they are very different people and very different cultures. But I take the point about we can say we are targeted. The question was, how do I deal with bodily stress? For many years, I simply saw stress as an invigorating thing. And again, one can look at stress and experience stress as a negative thing or take it as a positive driver. And for many years, that worked for me, is simply to go, this is fantastic. The sort of adrenaline and the fueled by coffee and the printer going wrong is actually the cutting edge of what is exciting. And I think we need to develop a tool set to deal with stress and to maybe call it something different. There is definitely unhealthy stress, and then there is vigorously enlivening stress. And I think it's important, if you're going to be in this profession, to maybe find another word for some types of stress. In the last few years, and including in COVID, I learned who makes me sick. whether it's people in my social set or people that I know in the industry that I worked with. And I learned to figure out how to deal with stressful relationships. So if people stress you out, talking to colleagues, figure out whether you are capable of repairing the relationship to them. I'm talking about working relationship, or figure out how to get them out of your life. It's not worth being surrounded by toxic people who make you sick, because that's where you get a weird form of cancer at 62 or earlier. And so I think it's important to start looking at that and feeling in the long term who you want to be surrounded with. Again, centers of excellence, great people. Personally, I've started with breathing practice, and breathing work is amazing. It takes many forms. I'm not a sports guy, but conscious breathing, including breathing in meetings between when you say something, is an amazing tool that gives you control. So I hope that answers the question.
Great, thanks, Henning. We have some further comments. A personal one, Tandu Zwane has asked you whether you're still with the Paragon Group in any form or you've left permanently.
Left.
Okay, great, Tandu. That answers the question. Tafatswa TC comments, cricket has recently had to deal with race relationships from the past and is still continuing to do so. Can we as architects maybe intentionally work towards that instead of letting it happen to us as it did in cricket? I don't know whether you're equipped to comment on that.
I certainly don't follow cricket, but I think in this week we saw the journey of South Africa into its next period of racialized politics, and politics wash into our lives, whether they're good or bad. I believe that no discussion shouldn't be had. The person who asked the question isn't saying that discussions are not taking place, but I think discussions, first of all, start at a personal level. If you believe, or if I believe, or Eugene believes, or whoever, that certain discussions aren't happening, you've got to start having them yourself. I don't believe we should wait for others to have discussions for us or to set up forums. If you believe a discussion in your life isn't happening, pull it forward. The worst thing that can happen is that somebody can tell you to get knotted if you raise it. And when individuals talk to each other and other people overhear those discussions, these things become socialized, and through social media or through other platforms, you can elevate any viable discussion to a large audience. So as a word of encouragement, without knowing what's happened in cricket, is that I believe that discussions that you want start with you. So just start having them. Don't wait. They're not going to happen for you. Other people don't get out of bed to have your discussions.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
I'm sure it does. We have just a few comments or questions left, so we're going to have to just deal with them very quickly. Pernille, Martin, wise words, Henning, thank you. Magda Viljoen, how can one contact Henning? So Henning, I don't know.
Email, WhatsApp, website, SAIAshare Architects website. Yeah.
Okay.
I can be found, Karina can tell you.
Okay. Marga, then sorry, it's Marga. Just maybe give Karina a call, and she or contact Karina. She can put you onto Henning. John Morley. Okay, John, if you don't mind, we're going to have to skip that question. Just have a quick look. Henry De Silva, really appreciate the honest perspective of the architectural professional landscape and the suggestions for support within the office and the architectural community. Thank you, Henry. Alan Termersazen, thanks, Alan. Great insights and considered response, Henning. Henning, that concludes the comments. I once again thank you most sincerely for sharing your insight with us. I'm sure it has encouraged those who've been listening, as it has encouraged me. So please stay online. We're going to be having Nadine share with us in a few minutes. Colleagues, can I then just ask you, our sponsors are very gracious and they're going to be doing a presentation, just a short one. Plascon, one of the benchmarks in paint, and then we're going to have Nadine share with us. So, Karina, it's over to you again then.
Ever wondered why we've remained leaders of the coatings business for more than 130 years? We are committed to serving you with excellence. Our ability to innovate and push the envelope through our consistent product development is second to none. We're super excited to bring you our new, hygienic and aesthetically pleasing floor coating range, which is suitable for food environment, manufacturing, warehousing, and home DIY. Introducing the FloorTech 1000 SP. This two-component 1:1 ratio solvent-based epoxy, available in a range of colors, is ideal for commercial, industrial, and residential flooring. The FloorTech 1000 SP is highly resistant to grease and mild chemicals, promising to leave your floors with a non-slip and good abrasion-resistant finish. Next, we have the FloorTech 2000 SP, a floor coating that will give you a smooth and high gloss appearance. A single component solvent-based moisture-cured urethane, which is perfect for workshops, wooden floors, and process plants. This range is available in a clear coat and various colors. With fast drying properties which allow for multiple coats in a single day, traffic just after 2 hours, and no requirement for 2-pack mixing, the FloorTech 2000 SB is a dream come true. The clear coat provides an aesthetically high gloss finish for wooden bar counters and flooring. Then we have the FloorTech 3000 WB, a two-component water-based, environmentally friendly epoxy that gives a semi-gloss finish. Perfect for nuclear and food processing facilities, abattoirs, hospitals, and DIY home use. This easy-to-clean coat is low on odor, zero VOC, and has good chemical and abrasion resistance. Introducing the FloorTech 7SB Concrete Primer Sealer. This penetration primer is used to provide excellent adhesion to concrete. This product can also serve as a sealer coat to provide a dust-free surface. With excellent adhesive properties, the FloorTech 7SB is versatile and can be used for a wide range of Plascon's flooring offering, such as alkyd, epoxy, and polyurethane products. Finally, we have the FloorTech 4000 SF, a high-gloss solvent-free epoxy coat that self-levels to provide a smooth, high-gloss aesthetic finish for showroom floors. Available in standard gray, this low-odor epoxy coat has excellent abrasion and is resistant to a wide range of chemicals, giving a seamless hygienic finish when used in garages, showrooms, and aircraft hangars. Our Plascon flooring product range offers minimal dirt retention, guaranteed to keep your surfaces dust-free and easy to clean. It's crystal clear that we've made it our responsibility to develop trustworthy and reliable products that make people's lives easier. So, what are you waiting for? Get your Plascon FloorTech product range today. For more product info, visit www.plascon.com.
Right, Karina, thank you, and thank you to Plascon. It's now my privilege to introduce Nadine Engelbrecht to you. Nadine completed her Master's of Architecture degree at the University of Pretoria in 2008. Sure, that makes it 15 years ago, Nadine. Additional expertise in sustainable architecture was gained when she participated as a guest student in the master's degree, climate design at the Technical University of München in Germany. At Burgertman and Partners Architects, Nadine focused on residential, mixed-use development, retail, offices, and responsible design strategies. In 2012, Nadine started practicing independently and commenced various projects, including local and international residential houses and multi-unit residential projects. Her own home in Gift Acres Estate in Pretoria has been published widely. Goedemiddag Nadine, so nice to have you on SAIAshare, and it's over to you.
Thank you, Eugene.
Helen and I will exit the screen.
Okay, hi everyone. So I don't know who knows this cartoon. It's a little book and it was also recently a short film. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. And it's really very maybe predictable, feel-good quotes, but I think it's so amazing to hear it every now and then. So this one I really like. Imagine how we'd be if we weren't afraid. I think there's so much limitations we put on ourselves because of the fears that we make up. It's not even real. Okay, so let's get started. So that's me. Okay. So I've been practicing now independently for 10 years. I've had my own practice for 15 years, which means I started my practice when I was 28. Now I'm giving all my age away, but whatever. And the thing is, for me, it was always inevitable that I would do my own thing. I would start my own practice because I don't like listening to rules and I like to do just what I want and that sort of thing. But it's not always easy. You have to be brave. You have to really put yourself out there and do your best and take every project as a new challenge. Okay, so now these people, this is just random people. I hope they don't know I'm using their photos. But this is now a project team. Last year when I was on a construction site, this is architects, clients, contractors, engineers, QSs, everyone that makes our work real, makes it realistic maybe. Now these people, we need them. We need all these people to make our dreams come true, to make our buildings real life. But there are also the people that inflict fear or tell us our ideas are impossible or unpractical or expensive. And I think it's important to know that it's not just you that have to be brave, that have these ideas that you need to do and to challenge yourself with each project to make it amazing. You also need to get all these people on your side. You need to get all of them to work with you and to dream with you and to also challenge themselves and their expertise. Because face facts, with just ideas, it's nothing. Nothing gets built if it's just a magical idea in your head. You need to make it practical. Okay. So I'm going to take you through a few designs today, some built and some still in the process. And just to show you some construction details that I'm busy with. I'm not doing earth-shattering designs, unfortunately. I'm working on my bravery, so soon, hopefully, we'll do more brave things. But every time I do a project, I really try to push my boundaries, push the boundaries of what I know is possible. And every time I get to I'm met with a lot of resistance, especially from the contractors who need to build it, but from everyone, from clients, from engineers, everyone resists and try to make it more ordinary because then it's easier and it's cheaper and it's predictable. But I would really like to push those boundaries as far as I can. Okay, so I'm doing some work in Belito, which is really nice. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of good skills there. It's just a quick render, just to show you what the vision is of the house, and it's quite a simple idea that I have these units of buildings, of little masses, which are cladded in stone walls, stone roof, a whole little stone unit that then folds into a more traditional farm style, a regular house type of unit. Simple idea, but not really that simple to get it constructed. So I'm passing through this quickly because I don't want to, I'm focusing on construction, not design really today. Okay, so if you are looking at this site photo, you will see how do we make this work? How do we make these blocks of stone realistic? So you wouldn't believe how many sessions I had, luckily with the Zoom, between the engineer and the contractor, and going over and over the design. How can we simplify it? How can we still keep the look we want, keep the interior minimalistic without too much structural exposed members? And in the end, after a lot of going back and forth, everyone was on board, and the engineer designed concrete walls, concrete roof, which then gets cladded with stone. So very simple, actually, if you think about it. I'm playing this video. If it's a bit bouncy, don't stress. It can be bouncy. It doesn't need to be too perfect. But just to show you, how do you do a slanted roof in concrete? It's exactly the same way as a flat roof. So I don't really know why the resistance was there, but I think it's a scary thought if you've never seen it or never done it. But it's the same thing. You have reinforcing, you have your electrical, you have a very dry pump mix, and then you level it by hand, and that's it. You have a structure that looks like this. Now, it's not done yet, so I cannot show you finished pictures. You can follow my Instagram. I'll post when I remember, and when I don't, when I've got time, I actually try to keep up with social media. Otherwise, I don't care. But I think it really came out quite cool. We're doing the stone cladding now. It's very unfortunate that we cannot have everything keeping in concrete, but that's just the nature of this project. Now, completely a different idea, same project. The client really wanted large timber structure, like a barn style, old-fashioned, thick beams, which is again something that the contractor said, no, he cannot source it, it's not available in the market. And in the end, we found it in PE. These are poplar beams. And it's really cool. It's really this cool, thick, old style barn beams. And just because someone says it cannot be done or they cannot source it doesn't mean it's impossible. You can just do more research and go further and really don't listen to people. Don't listen to contractors who wants the easy way out and engineers who wants the easy way out. Really stick with your guts and do what you want. And do what the clients want, because their inputs, maybe it's not something you would have done, but it might still bring some magic to the project. Okay, so this just shows where we are now. This is the living area. You can see some nice views there in the back. And it just shows how the concrete structure is like folding into the old structure, but you know what I mean, the old traditional, more traditional sort of structure. Okay, now, with little mistakes, there's always some surprises that come. So this particular wall, this is at a window opening, and the wall kicked a bit while they were casting it, so it was bent or whatever, concave. And the contractor took a grinder and he grinded it down to get it straight. And look at this beautiful texture. So I was on site looking at this, taking pictures, and I'm like, oh, can we do a whole wall like this? And the contractor told me, really or theoretically? I'm like, no, theoretically. And he said, yeah, sure. So next week I call him up, I'm like, hey, let's do a wall. So we're doing a polished concrete wall. That's the main bedroom wall there at the back. You cannot see it yet because it hasn't been sealed, which will bring out the aggregate more. But I think, I just want to point out that sometimes it's the surprises in projects. Well, I'm also going to say the mistakes in the project that brings out new ideas, and just go with it. Just don't see a mistake as a bad thing that happened. See it as a potential for something better. Okay, next project. This project is called the Conservatory, and it was finished in 2017. And the name suggests everything. There's a conservatory which forms the heart of the house. This glass house, it's not really as much glass as it looks, but this glass house is your patio structure, and it literally forms the core central space of the house. And this also, there's a little bit of a contradiction. Like it looks now, if you look at the picture, it looks like a very reasonable design. But when I did the design, I really got a lot of like negative input on this. So you can see the conservatory forms the center, which divides the kitchen from the lounge and the bed, or the main bedroom. So we're literally doing the patio space as the middle of the house, which, you know, I got questions like, but now you have to walk all the way through the patio to get to the kitchen, all the way. It's like 4 meters. But it works. So I think it challenges the idea of what is a patio. Is it just another room as part of the house, or is it an outside space? Now, in this setup, the patio divides the kitchen area, which has a little small lounge onto it, and the larger lounge and study areas, which leads off to the main bedroom. Okay, so just to give you that idea, so what is that space really? Is it a patio? It has a braai, it has a pizza oven, so technically it's a patio, but it isn't. It's a whole different new space that we don't have a vision for yet. We don't have this preconceived notion of what that space should be. But then, okay, on a separate matter, you also need to think about thermal control. How are we controlling the heat of the house and making sure the passive heating and cooling design of the house is efficient while having all this glass? Okay, so the patio has glass doors between the kitchen area and the living area to make sure that you can close it off. If the patio becomes too hot in summer, you can close them off and the adjacent spaces remain comfortable. And in winter, you can use that heat to also, heat up the adjacent spaces. So again, if you look at that roof, it's not all glass, so there's a lot of good insulation to make sure that the space doesn't become too hot. And then both sides of this conservatory opens completely, so you can get good cross ventilation, and that cools it down really well. So it's really only on, I would say, when there's a heat wave, when this space will be too hot. The rest of the time, it's really great. And then, so you can see we have this automated door that lifts up that allows this one portion to be completely open, so you still have your outside patio vibe. And again, this was something that is not, I've seen this done. I think all of you have seen similar examples of things being done all over the world. But when I asked the contractor to do this, it was something that could not be done. You could not get a local supplier to do this. And we really had to call around to get someone. And in the end, it was just a garage door company who'd made a glass door instead of a normal garage door. Standard garage mechanism, standard garage motor, and it wasn't really that difficult. But it's just the conceived notion of doing it, and everyone's like, no, you cannot do it. So don't listen to what people say. It's keep on trying. Okay, and then this house had a very nice western facing view over hills, and we put the main bedroom facing west. Now we have these large, wonderful glazed windows exposed to the western late afternoon sun, and we have to have shutters to close those windows, because otherwise how do you keep that nasty sun out? But now the shutters are not normal shutters, they have to be at an angle. And we had literally got this old Timmy who was a carpenter who made these shutters for us, and it took him forever. Like, you wouldn't believe how long we waited for them. But in the end, he figured it out so well that they're easy to use and they work perfectly. So there's always a way, a design solution for every difficult thing that you try. So, okay, and the last little thing of this house, the clients love wine, like fanatically love wine. And as a almost as an afterthought, after we started the earthworks, they said, can you please have a hidden wine cellar beneath the kitchen? Okay, let's do it. So we did the step-up door, which when it's closed is seamless with the timber floor, and when it's open, it allows you the secret passage down to the wine cellar. And even this door, the contractor said, no, it cannot be done. It's impossible. And I lifted my polo's boot up when I stopped at site, and I'm like, but see, the boot lifts up, all the steel remains in the air with just these gas lifts. Why don't we just do that? And we had the same carpenter make us this door with the wood using gas lifts. Quite simple. It works fantastically. Nothing too complicated in the end. Okay, so the wine cellar, unfortunately, this photo was taken after construction. At this point in time, all of these walls are covered with wine. You wouldn't believe it. It's crazy. And if you look at the glass floor above, That's when you enter the house, into the conservatory, you have that glass floor right there, which allows you a sneak peek down into the wine cellar. And even this glass floor, I mean, we've all been to mainland, we've all seen the glass floors, but trying to do it in a house, and you are met with so much resistance. How are we going to do it? It's going to be too expensive. You know, no one will do it. And in the end, you find someone to do it. So I think the point is, if you have ideas, just go with it. Don't let the contractor or the client even tell you it's not possible. You just show them it is possible. We'll find someone to do it, you know. Okay. Next project is still under construction, and it's a farmhouse in Rustenburg. And the whole idea with this project is let's work with stone that's collected on site. That was sort of the core of the design idea. When I got there, this was what I found. You can see at the geyser all the burn marks. So the old farmhouse had a thatch roof, and it burned down like to the ground. So this was, you wouldn't believe it, very emotional for the client. And this little piece, which they call the honeymoon suite, because this is sort of an outbuilding that they built on a later stage, was all that was left of the house. So I had to reconcile the new with the old. Quick renders just to show you. On the left-hand side is the old structure, I'm sorry, and in the middle and the right-hand side is the new proposal. Just from the other side, and now on the right-hand side is the old one. So just quickly show you the vision, but that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, so we told the contractor, please collect stones from all around the farm and use the largest stones you can without cutting them. I want really large, old school style stone wall, and they really did. I mean, we got there after week 1, and we said, no, make the stones larger, and they really did. They built this incredible stone construction. Like, I can't even believe they did this. I mean, I told them to do it, but I didn't believe that they would. Okay, but then of course there's some challenges with stone. How do you insert your aluminium doors into that irregular facade? And the aluminium guy, he showed up on site with this sample, and he's like, okay, this is what he's going to do. He's going to cut it out and insert it into the stone. I'm like, wow, that's fantastic. Thank you for coming up with that. So it's really great if we have a good team. You know, if we have people on site who believes in our dream and they want to make it work, and they want to make it pretty and not just look for the easy way out. Now you can see the aluminium system is in, but the glass is not in. So I unfortunately cannot show you the whole idea. But this is just quickly where we are now with that house. So we're getting there. And then, of course, I couldn't do pergolas with timber because the client's obsessed with nothing should be able to burn. So we did a steel pergola. And then this I just have, we're not done, but I wanted to show you this picture of this polished concrete steps. So I have a failure in my presentation a little bit later on, where I tried to do a similar thing in my house, which I think didn't really work out. I'll share that later. But in this situation, I learned from my failures, and I think I did better with this one. So here we had the steps cast in situ, and we polished them, and I think it turned out really great. And yeah, I'll show you the failure a little bit later on. Okay, and then while we're on to stone, when we just thought, let's just do a stone basin. So do a basin that's completely carved out of the rock and insert it. You know, this is your vanity and your everything. It's also not completely, installation's not done, so I cannot show you a final product, but you can get the feel of it. And even this, when I told the contractor, oh, can we do a basin from the stone? And he's like, no, this stone is way too hard. You cannot carve from the stone. And in the end, they did it. I just kept on insisting every side meeting. I'm like, oh, so how's my stone basin coming? And eventually, I think he just realized I'm not going to go away. So they did it. And I think it's quite cool. I don't know if it's something you want in every project, but for this project, we went all out for stonework, and I think it's quite cool. Okay, last project. I think I'm running maybe a little bit over my time. I'll go quick. This is my house. So I completed my house in 2013. And with my house, I didn't have a client who said no, and I didn't have well, I didn't listen to contractors. I was too young and stupid to listen to anyone. So I did just exactly what I wanted. And I made a few mistakes. There's a few things that we had to redo. But overall, I love it. I love what I did with my house. And I love the fact that I could challenge every aspect of it and just be out there. So just the biggest challenge in my house was, this is a street facade. So the street facade is also the north facade. So, and then on the south facade, which is there, we have that beautiful copy at the background, which it just has a great view. So now you have that typical scenario of a bad site where the street is on the north and the view is on the south, and how do you reconcile the two? And just a quick second floor plan just to show you, the bedrooms are put on the south side to have that views, and the bathrooms are put on the north, the bathroom and the circulation on the north, which goes against everything I've ever learned in architecture school, but it works. I mean, the holistic design of the house allows the sun to come in the north, the overhangs are correct, and this the heat doesn't escape it, on the south windows. And holistically, the house works wonderfully. My house is never cold or never too hot. Anyway, but just by the way, my house is never this clean either. This is just for photo shoots. Real life is much crazier. And that's the view from the bedroom window. So in the end, we really got the best, I think, from the site. And I'm really proud of what I did there. Everything's not great. There's some issues. I won't want to speak all of the. I don't want to mention them all, but I'll show you some. So this is my, I won't say failure, but not a success either. So this is what we did with our stairs in our house. I wanted to have polished concrete steps, and we wanted to have this zigzag effect, which in hindsight was a really stupid idea. I don't even remember why I thought it would be cool, but I wanted to do something different. And we couldn't cast them in situ because you won't be able to polish the little corners. So we cast them in molds, and every time we did a slab, a concrete truck would cast a few steps, and then we finished them off, we polished them, hoisted them up with a block and tackle. They weighed 500 kilograms each, inserted them. Waterproofing was never really great. And to be truthful, I don't think this was a success. It works. You can go up these steps quite comfortably. The ratio works according to science, but I think it's a mental thing. People walking up here feel disorientated, and everyone's like, "Whoa, how do you walk up these steps?" And it's actually, if you just walk straight, it's fine. But I don't think this was a successful design. So sometimes you try things because you just want to try something different, and it doesn't work out, and that's okay because you learn from that experience, and next time you'll do better. Okay, and last little one before I log off. I also wanted a concrete wine cellar, and we did this mock-up wall with PVC pipes, and then we just scaled it up, and we built this large concrete wine cellar twice. The first time there was too much honeycombing, in the end we got it right. Just a little fun detail. So I'm not saying I'm a Winston Churchill fan, but I thought this was a really cool saying. Success is not final. I think that's also really important, more important than the next one. Failure is not fatal. You can fail, it's okay, you'll be okay. It's the courage to continue that counts. So today, I just want to say, be brave, have courage, do good designs, do challenge yourself with every project. Don't just go for the easy ways. Just really do good work. And that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Nadine, for sharing that with us. Delightful. And shall we let SAIAshare attendees into a secret? I have the privilege of living directly opposite Nadine, and I love looking at your house. So it's really a special house. I just want to go through a few comments that have come through. Nadine, I'm not sure whether they're questions or comments. Elaine says, I love your door solution. John Morley says there's always a solution waiting to emerge from an active mind. Love your confidence. And Don says, I think he's referring to your steps. He says, great after a few drinks. So is the wine cellar below or is the wine cellar at the top?
The wine cellar is at the bottom. You just stay there.
Okay. Jeanette Bronchi, fantastic detailing. Thank you for sharing the details. Leon van Heerden, stunning. Nadine, thank you very much. Vivian Hobbs, very encouraging. Thanks. Helen, you, I don't know whether you've seen any of Nadine's work thus far. I don't know whether you have any comments, you as a presenter, on fear and overcoming fear, whether you've got anything you'd like to say.
I certainly haven't seen it in real life, but I'm looking forward to that wine cellar. No, I think what really got to me was one of the opening slides. I think the third one, just that team of people. I mean, it's that, you know, just it takes everybody. And I found that very encouraging. It really is like that. And in this country and across this continent, it's everybody, including the guy holding the shovel and the woman plastering somewhere. And it's still the big collective thing. So I really like that approach.
No, thanks. Judith's comment, splendid work, Nadine. Suzanne, very inspired as a young architect. Michael Matlala, Michael says, great ideas, and Nadine's house is a cherry on the top. Unique and wonderful house design, stunning. Elmarie, very encouraging presentations. Thank you. Thank you, Elmarie. Bonga, I love it. I like that you also spoke about your challenges and what you didn't like in your last project. I think it's an encouragement to me knowing that you shouldn't be hard on yourself. Colleagues, Christo, very interesting approach. No fear designs. Thank you. That brings us to the end of your presentation, Nadine and Henning, and to both of you. Can I just once again, on behalf of everyone who's in attendance, and can I say that we had more than 400 attendees who've enjoyed your presentations. We thank you very much. A few thank yous have come in from Christo, Hector, Depti, Lawrence, and Tariru, and Mr. or Mrs. Pillay, forgive me, I can't pronounce your name. Then Maria as well. Okay, they're streaming in. So thank you, colleagues. That then brings us to the end of SAIAshare number 26. And you know, it's gone by so quickly. It's quite remarkable to think that that we've been going for 26 months consecutively, non-stop, and it's only because of you who've been attending. We thank you for your support and attendance. And so the curtain closes on another SAIAshare. Thank you once again, Henning and Nadine. Thanks also to our generous sponsors, Plascon. Plascon will present their next webinar on the 29th of August, aimed at equipping the professionals with a guideline to conduct a mindful observation when evaluating and assessing a site prior to a paint specification. So do make use of that offer to attend the webinar. As already mentioned, SAIAshare carries a category 1 CPD value of 0.1. Colleagues, we thank you for joining us. We trust that you've enjoyed the event this afternoon. We invite you to join us again on the first Friday of September. And just remember, it's Spring Day. It's the 1st of September, when we will welcome two exciting speakers to SAIAshare, Mary Luzolo, architect, lecturer in South Africa and the DRC, and Andre Krieger, architect, co-founder at 255 Architects in Johannesburg. Andre will be speaking on the project Ukolo, or I think it's Ukolo in Cape Town city centre. Right, I close with the following thought. And it's in the theme of what we've been discussing. Some years ago, I had the wonderful privilege of visiting Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. It was a dream come true because as a 10-year-old child, it inspired me to become an architect. Recently, I reread the large coffee table book I bought from the Falling Water bookshop on site. The story of Falling Water is one of innovation, courage, tenacity, and in a sense, reckless inspiration. I am reminded of the true saying, great things never came from comfort zones. So, in support of the theme that we've had this morning, this afternoon, we close with those thoughts, wish you well, and hopefully see you then again on the 1st of September. Thanks for joining.